What's up, guys? It's your homeboy, Cowboy Crunk, coming to you from Bahrain. That is Manama, Bahrain, the Manama Magnasti. I guess I'm back in the Magnasti, but this is the Manama Magnasti. So, um, just hitting up a video real quick. Watched the game 2 or 3 times already. Still not happy with some of the coaching moves. I actually was fairly happy with the game plan. I think other than not targeting an Amari Cooper, and I didn't see any throws down the field at all to stretch the field out a little bit, get those safeties a little deep. I think we could have ran some more crossing routes to get the linebackers, and some seam routes with the tight ends to get those linebackers off the line. So some of those runs that were 6 and 7 yards for Ezekiel Elliott, which there wasn't many of them, could maybe have been a little bit longer. I do think that that's part of the reason we're not getting these longer runs by Ezekiel Elliott. Is I don't think we're stretching the middle of the field, and we're not causing those linebackers to stay on their heels and chase tight ends or chase the slot receivers a little deeper. So I think that would get the linebackers back and hopefully open that running game. I didn't see that, so really wasn't happy about that, but I was overall fairly comfortable with the percentage of pass and run plays that we had. Other than that, we lost that game straight out, flat out. We lost that game on special teams, and the defense just at times wasn't able to make a hold. There are certain times in a game, there's going to be 4 or 5 plays that if you complete those plays, you've got a very good chance of winning. They're critical plays in the game. One of them was the 3rd and 20 for New England. Tom Brady went to Edelman and got the 20-yard pass. We had the same situation for us there at the end to Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper should have caught that ball. Nothing against Amari Cooper. He makes plays all the time. I'm sure Amari Cooper is very upset about not making the catch. It was a difficult catch, but superstar players like Amari Cooper make those plays more often than not. So, like I said, no knock on Amari Cooper. It's not going to happen every time with the weather and all those things going. He did make a good play on the ball. It wasn't quite good enough. The other plays in the game, I've heard quite a few knocks on Brett Maher. Brett Maher, to me, did a more than serviceable job for the Dallas Cowboys. He did miss the 46-yarder, the first field goal there, which is usually the hardest. Your first and your last in a game like that is usually your hardest. When the rain's falling and the game is tough, it puts pressure on you. When the game gets started, in the beginning, you're adjusting to the wind. You're trying to. It was a long field goal in a windy stadium. For him to go 3 out of 4 on field goals, as long as I think 2 of them were over 40, maybe I think possibly 3 of them were over 40. One was 30. I can't exactly recall, but Brett Maher did a serviceable job. You cannot condone him for missing one 46-yard field goal in the win, especially early. So as far as the coaching staff goes, I think they had the game plan together. There were some plays in the game concerning the 4th and 7 there at the end, or 4th and 6 when we took the field goal. I was back and forth on that one. Because of the way it played out, I would now have preferred to go for it. But if you look at it, if you go for it and you don't get it, there's 6 minutes left. You have to stop New England and get the ball back. You cannot allow them to get a field goal. You basically have to stop them and go down and score. So to not take the field goal was probably the best position there. And use your timeouts, try to stop New England and make them punt. If they do get a field goal, different ball game. Now you're going down for the tie. I do understand the scenario that they threw in. The scenario that they went with was, let's go ahead and kick the field goal. Let's stop them again. And yeah, we got to score a touchdown. But if we score a touchdown, it's for a win, not a tie. So they were gambling. People say, oh, he's being safe, he's being cautious. But if you look at it the way possibly he was looking at it as we're going to kick this field goal, we're going to stop them, and we're going to also take the ball down and drive it down and score a touchdown and win the game. So that actually is a longer gamble than going for it on 4th and 7 and trying to, because if you do score, you've still got to hold New England from scoring the ball, because if they score even a field goal, now the game's over, unless you have time to score another field goal. So the scenario is a little early in the game it's like going for 2 when you don't know exactly in the 3rd quarter or the 4th quarter what's going to happen, what's going to play out. Can you get it back with a field goal? Does the other team score a touchdown? And then you know, that scenario, it's just too hard to play out. So that thing on the coaches, I'm okay with. I think I'm still extremely upset with the coaching staff, and that was because I do think we could have had more effective run plays. We could have had some plays. Dak still not running the ball. Very few plays. I think Dak had 1 or 2 carries. I didn't look at the stats before I started the video. I did just get this rolling, but it could have happened more. Dak, I think, needs to be pushed to run the ball. You guys see what Lamar Jackson is doing with running the ball, and I'm not expecting that out of Dak. I'm not expecting those yards, but still, with Dak running the ball relatively, 3 or 4 times a game more often than he's doing now, you're going to open things up for Zeke. You're going to freeze those linebackers. They're not even, when we do the run play option, the RPO, they're not even keying on Dak running the ball. They're just feeding, they're feeding Zeke every time, and the line of the linebackers aren't going for it at all. So it's something that they've got to go. They've got to make that adjustment. They have made some small adjustments with Tony Pollard, which I think they've corrected a little bit, but they need a little bit more of that. And I hate to say, take the ball out of Zeke's hands a little more, but I think if you take the ball out of his hands at the right time, it will allow you to give him the ball more later in the game, which is what we had done before. A lot of Zeke's big yards were late in the game. If you guys recall, we haven't had very many screen plays for Zeke this year. They are working, but they're not running them as much. But a lot of Zeke's yards were late in the game when the only option the defense had to do was bum rush Dak, try to get a sack, try to get a strip sack, try to force an interception, try to force a bad throw. And those are the runs where Zeke busted big runs and took it to the house, or had long runs, fairly consistently. So not happy with the coaching situation. Don't know what's going to happen. I don't see anything in the near future. Of course, we got the game Thursday against the Bills. I do think we have a good game against them, or a good opportunity like we did against the Patriots. They are 8-3, but it's a team we can beat. It was just very, very difficult to see us line up against New England, and if you do the matchup one-on-one, we basically we're better than they are at relatively every position. I mean, there's a few positions where New England stand out where they're better than us, and other than that, it's straight up coaching, guys. If you look at the New Orleans Saints, for example, the New Orleans Saints, they lose their starting quarterback. Teddy Bridgewater, a good, reputable backup, comes in and keeps their record rolling, keeps everything going fine, no hiccups, change a little bit of they made changes. They made major coaching changes and major changes in the offense. And the team was able to adapt because they were coached properly. They were coached into doing that. The team is behind their coach, and they believe in it. Like I said, I believed in the game plan. I think we ran Zeke enough, but I don't think we ran him at the right times. There was times we should have ran and we threw. There was times we threw and we should have ran. And there was times that we needed to be a little more aggressive. We were not aggressive at all. We had no deep throws. They didn't even try it. And you got to realize one thing your receiver has an advantage on is the fact that the receiver knows where he's going. So on a wet field, you have a lot of opportunities to lose a safety or just flat out lose a corner, and he slips and falls. If you break his ankles in the water, he's going down. If you give him the right juke, you give him the right cut, and you lose that safety, he's not only going to be 2 or 3 yards behind you, you're going to have a 5, 6, 7 yard gap between a corner and a safety and your receiver. So it's something we didn't do. I think we should have taken advantage of. And the other thing, of course, was there was a few times you can't rush Tom Brady every time. I understand that. But every time there was a critical play and the New England Patriots advanced the ball during that critical play on offense, we got exactly zero type of pressure on Tom Brady. No rush pressure, zero pressure on Tom Brady. The 3rd and 20 was a perfect example. He stood back there and Edelman was wide open. But on that play, he wasn't wide open, but Tom Brady made a good throw. He was open enough on a 20-yard play to get the ball down to him, and they got 21 yards and got the first down. And those are the kind of plays, those are the critical plays in a game you've got to make. You've got to make stops, or you've got to move the ball. The tripping penalties, completely erroneous. That's the word for it, erroneous. Even the NFL's claiming that they've made a mistake on those calls. That'll be a huge thing in the referees and the officials meetings this week. They do meet every week. They do go over things. They do go over the mistakes made. They do watch a lot of film, just as much, if not more, than a lot of the NFL players. They watch film. That's all they do is watch film and critique calls. And for them to have those situations is completely unacceptable. It caused us a game. It literally did. We were moving the ball at that point. We had so many things that stopped our drives and those were basically turnovers. We had the block punt, which is basically a turnover that gave them an 11 yards to go for a touchdown. They made an excellent play against our number one corner. Byron Jones was right there, perfect coverage, back shoulder throw by Tom Brady, and Harry scores the touchdown. And not much you could do on that. The cornerback can only play one side of the body. He forced him to the sideline. He basically had forced him out of bounds. The receiver held the position inbounds. It was a perfect throw, back shoulder to Harry from Tom Brady, and you cannot fault Byron Jones for that excellent play. Byron Jones, just a good throw, and a good play by the receiver as well. We just needed a little bit better play out of our receivers. We needed a little bit better play out of Dak Prescott, and we needed more pressure put on the defense by our coaching staff. It wasn't there, and I think they went back to the run the right amount, but the pass plays weren't impressive enough. They weren't elusive enough. They didn't make enough deception to get our guys open and the right. Amari Cooper to have 0 catches is completely ridiculous. You've got to just force the ball to him, and that was an issue. I'm not too up to speed on why that went down the way it is. I don't think anyone is, but I think obviously Amari Cooper's not 100%. Everyone knows that, so that might have had something to do with it. But overall, just a hard loss to take because we were the better team. But that's what happens in New England. We were by far outcoached is the number one thing you can say. And then the special teams, guys, I should have brought this up at the beginning of the video. The most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life in a football game is for a team to make 3 consecutive errors on the same play and the other team do the exact same thing on a set play. This is a set play, like in soccer, like a corner kick, a kickoff. You've got Pollard in the end zone, 2-3 yards deep in the end zone, knowing they're going to pooch kick it. Knowing if he's going to try to even get to the ball, he's got to come run full speed, and he's probably still not going to make it. The first one, he got to it but fumbled it. The second one, he didn't get to it. Jarwin got to it, and Jarwin fumbled it. And then the third one, he didn't even get to it in time. It hit in front of his feet. It skipped on the ground behind him. He had to turn around and pick it up. We got lucky. We recovered all three of those. That would have been huge stats if we would have lost one or two of them. Two of them would have been crucial. The game would have probably been out of control. But those are plays we never made an adjustment on. One was in the first quarter, one was in the second quarter, and the last one was when they scored in the third or fourth quarter when they got the last field goal. And completely ridiculous for the Cowboys not to make an adjustment on that. When it happened the first and the second, they had time to discuss it in halftime, and it came out and happened in the third or fourth quarter. I can't recall which one, but the last one that hit the ground in front of Pollard and went, skipped behind him, he had to turn around and chase it down and fall on it. Extremely lucky that we recovered those. And why no adjustment was made on special teams? Why a head coach at that point? As a matter of fact, if I was Jerry Jones and I saw that happen the first and the second time, as soon as I saw New England about to kick the ball, I would have had my phone on speed dial. I'd have called down on the sideline to somebody and said, "Get a frickin' timeout right now." And I would have put Jason Garrett on the damn phone. Why the hell is Tony Pollard standing in the end zone again? If you kick it over his head, it's going to go into the end zone. So you're fine. It goes to the end zone, it's a dead ball. That's the new rule. If it goes short of the end zone, he's in no place to make a play on it. So why have him standing there? He should have been between the 5 and the 10-yard line somewhere. If they do the pooch kick, you can read it immediately. You can run up and you can make a play on the ball. If they do kick it deep, you back up a little bit, you stand on the goal line. If it goes over your head, you're good to go. You let it go. That's it. It's simple. It's not rocket science. It's football. I guess to Jason Garrett, it's rocket science and brain surgery all rolled up in one. So I've chatted enough, guys. I've given you my thoughts on the game. Critical plays were not made by the Cowboys. Critical plays were not made by New England either. There were just a few that were, and that's why the score was so low. That's why it wasn't a runaway game. But New England just made a few more critical plays than us, and we had those penalties. And then we gave them an 11-yard field to score a touchdown, and then we gave them the 17-yard field on the interception that Dak threw to kick a field goal, which basically that's 10 of their points. We don't give them those 2 turnovers, and they score 3 points the whole game. So kind of a moral victory, but in football there is no moral victories because you only have 16 games to prove yourself. So we can't lose anymore, guys. We got to turn this around. We got to get this coaching staff's ass on the ground. We got to get this special teams fixed, and that's where our fracture point is. That's where we're breaking down, guys. So Cowboy Crunk coming to you from Manama, Bahrain. That is the Manama Magnasty, Bahrain. And I'm out, boys. See you on the next video.